If you've ever finished a week full of client sessions and you're just exhausted from the stress that you had as you were back to back with those clients, first off, this is actually quite common, especially if you are someone who uses the traditional hypnosis or NLP methods. Even if you're coaching and you are someone who truly gives a fuck about your clients' results. Now, I'll talk about one of the biggest reasons why you stress out so much so that you can overcome this for good. And the biggest one is that you care so much for your clients, which is great. You don't want to lose that. That is what makes you an exceptional practitioner. But you want it way too much for your clients that you believe that your tools and what you do is what helps a client transform, even though you know logically that it is them transforming. This is what I mean. If you are going into your sessions and you're looking at a client intake form and you are preparing a lot, if you are trying to find out what you're going to say, do, or talk about in your session beforehand, if you are preparing techniques and looking at a client's, intake form and, they say they've had pain for 10 years, you look something up to help the session, and it takes you too long. You go into the session and it's not really what you research, isn't a match to what actually happens. Of course, that can get stressful, right? And truth of the matter is, the reason why you're so stressed out is because you're putting too much pressure on yourself to figure things out. You believe that it is your tools that help your client, whether this be consciously or unconsciously, even though you know quite well that it is the client who heals themselves, right? And so there is no tool that you can use for your clients that will help them that's any better than what they can have internally, than the resources they have internally. And so why you're stressed is that you just don't have the process to help you guide the session instead of you bringing in your tools. If you want to become a client breakthrough catalyst, you enter your client's world. Okay, there's a difference. You don't create a world for your client. You don't create an induction. You don't create a visualization. You don't create an inner child technique. You don't create a timeline for them to float into. You don't create an EFT tapping routine for them. You enter their world. You meet them where they're at first. When you do this, this is when your results are going to be even better than what they already are. When you meet your clients where they're at and throw and put your tools aside, it's not like they're not important. They help you get to this point. But if you put that aside and focus on the very important person in front of you, the most important person in front of you, which is your client, you will find that your results are going to be faster. You will find that you will be the person who is the catalyst for their change. You are not the one who is going to continue the path, but they, after they leave your session, will become even more transformed than they already have inside the session. And there is a system that needs to be followed in order for you to set things aside. You, as a practitioner, will need to think about things very, very differently than when you had before. If you want different results, you get to do different things. You get to try a way different process, right? And so if instead of preparing, instead of gathering all your 20 plus tools that you keep hoarding, even though it's well-meaning because you really want to help, how about just focus your attention on learning the skill of how to help your clients to solve their own problem? Wouldn't that be less stressful for you? If you had the skill of just going in, no matter, it doesn't matter if you've seen the client before or if even if it's a brand new client that you've never seen, what would it feel like for you to just go into that session with a complete stranger, have a conversation, and that conversation being the one that is the catalyst for their life changing for the best? You become that person where when they see they'll remember forever because you have unlocked something inside them that was already there, but they just needed help with. Unfortunately, techniques can't do that. The minute you go into a session and say, let's have your inner child, let's play and dance around with your inner child, you are assuming that an inner child is what they need. What if they don't, right? And so by instead asking your clients questions and having them experience the inner workings of their minds and making them see perspectives they haven't seen before and collapsing all the bullshit conflicts and the stories that they have had, you being able to do that can be as simple as just asking questions. And you know how truly powerful asking questions can be, right? You have had that in the past where someone asks you a question or you ask a client a question and then everything that's just shifted for them. But right now, you just don't know how to use that skill effectively because it's something that is truthfully not taught very well in the traditional courses and trainings. This is exactly what I teach my students, and this is how you will let go of your stress because if you don't know how to adapt to the client in front of you, you're going to be forever chasing that next technique, which is the wrong focus because the client is going to fix their problem, right? So instead of like even if you've learned 100 tools, if you get a client who does not fit those 100 tools specifically, they're not going to get the transformation they need, right? And so instead of adding more shit to your list, how about you just develop the skill of learning how to work with a unique client in front of you and adapt to their needs and help them get what they need, regardless of the label or presenting problem? Wouldn't that be more transformational? Wouldn't those results be the type of results that make you a client breakthrough catalyst? Of course it is. So if you are someone who is interested in becoming this practitioner, definitely check out the links below for trainings on how you can do this. And let's make it happen. Let's get you the results that your clients can't shut up about.